Welcome to John's Tarot. Welcome, and thank you very much. I hope everybody's having a wonderful day, a great week, and that you're meeting all your obstacles head on and putting your obstacles behind you, moving forward. Today, I'm going to talk a little bit about. I ran into this guy on YouTube. Now, I've never met Father Alec Rippenger, but I watched a couple of his YouTube videos. He's a very accomplished man, very smart man, and he talks about he's an exorcist with the Catholic religion. I used to be a Catholic. I was born a Catholic. I was baptized a Catholic. Currently, I'm not a Catholic. I always say I am an independent. And according to what really upset me with Father Rippenger, though, is that the things that he's doing, and I'll go in, the things that I am doing, according to him, put me at grave risk for demonic possession. And I really gotta say, that really doesn't equal what my experience has been. Let me read you a little bit about Father Rippenger, because he's really quite an accomplished man. He's an American Catholic priest, theologian, and exorcist. He has earned two bachelor's degrees in theology and philosophy from the University of San Francisco, and 2 master's degrees, one in philosophy from the Center for Thomistic Studies of the University of St. Thomas in Houston, Texas, and another in theology from Holy Apostles College and Seminary in Cromwell, Connecticut. He was ordained a Catholic priest June 7th, 1997. Now, this is kind of what he does. In a 2015 interview, during this time in the Society of the Most Sorrowful Mother, as a member of the DeLorean Fathers, Rippenger stated that Hollywood portrayals of possession are exaggerated and tend towards the sensational, and that actual possession cases were extraordinarily rare. I would tend to believe that. In some 150 interviews the SMB conducted last year, only 3 were found to be cases of demonic possession. Rippenger notes that while exceedingly rare, true cases involve manifestation outside human capacity, such as speaking in unlearned languages or possessing hidden knowledge. He emphasized the need to reassure the faithful that such diabolical influences are uncommon. Some of his views, he says he doesn't want you looking at Harry Potter. In a 2019, Rippenger advised Catholics to avoid Harry Potter series. He claimed that J.K. Rowling went to witch school before she wrote the books, and some of the spells in the novels are real spells. As far as women working outside the home, he says it's a mortal sin for a woman to work outside the home without sufficient reason. As far as mental health, he says he believes that bipolar is actually a form of obsession, demonic obsession, by the time it gets to the point where it's diagnosable. And he considers the evolutionary development absurd. He doesn't believe in evolution. As far as extraterrestrial life, Rippenger holds that the alleged extraterrestrial beings, specifically the type known as Greys, are actually demons masquerading as aliens. And as far as end times, based on Catholic prophecy and his observations of diabolic activity, Rippenger believes that the world is approaching a period of chastisement. Well, he may be right on that. I mean, I'm not going to disagree. He noted a shift in demonic strategy, where demons are now emboldened to attack good families, an indicator that they know their time is short and God is soon to intervene. So, this is obviously a very accomplished man. I have not seen what Father Rippenger has seen. I have not done what Father Rippenger has done. My experiences come from my life experiences. And when I watched him on YouTube, what upset me was that he said, if I'm not involved in the Catholic, what do they call it? If I'm not involved in the Catholic Church and I forget the term, what they offer as keeping you safe from demonic influences, that I am in grave danger of being, uh, uh, of needing an exorcism. And it just doesn't go by my learned experience. What happened to me is that I come from a multi-generational maladaptive system. This maladaptive system was involved in Catholicism. Now, there is nothing wrong with Catholicism. What happened is that my family used it in a wrong way, and that multi generations of them, up to my point, died alcoholics without redemption. When I remember when my father was dying of alcoholism. He had a mass in the Catholic Church, but beyond that, they didn't want anything to do with him. That was his issue. They didn't want to come to the house. They didn't want to give him last rites, whatever. But had I chosen to stay with Catholicism, I would have gone the same way as my father. I would have gone the same way as my grandfather. I would have gone the same way as my great grandfather. I would have died of alcoholism. I had the opportunity I encountered different things, and I've talked about it in the past. I encountered Buddhism, which was huge in changing my internal programming, my internal thought processes. I encountered I Ching, my first symbolic system, which was huge, helped me such a great deal. According to Father Rippenger, though I would be destined to, if I don't receive the services of the Catholic Church, I am destined to not only burn, but I am destined to be, what would you call it? The demons will infest me. What I have done with my sober life, I managed to go back to school. I earned 2 associate degrees. I'm not very studied when compared to him. One in human services and drug and alcohol studies. I thought I would become a drug and alcohol counselor, and I worked in mental health, and I worked with bipolar people. I continue to work with psychologically challenged people, but and then I decided to go into nursing. And in my nursing career, I've helped a lot of people. I've helped them through the most difficult periods of their lives. And I really considered it a sacred trust that that I have been put in this position, and I have been given this opportunity to help people during the most difficult parts of their lives, whether they are the patient or the family. And I know how the process works, and I'm good at guiding people through the process. And I've helped many people, especially with end of life and overwhelming problems. One of the things that I do as a nurse in the hospital is I never tell patients, um, I'll have to ask the doctor. I never tell them that. I never tell the families that. I tell them I'll take care of it, that I am your representative, I am your team leader, and I will take care of it. Now, their request may require me to ask the doctor, but they don't need to know that. All they need to know is I can go to John, and he's going to take care of it, and he's going to help guide us through the situation. And then that's how I do what I do. And I'm only semi-retired. I'm still at the hospital a couple of days a week. But according to Father Rippenger, that unless I am sanctified by the Catholic Church, what I'm doing has no value, has no meaning, and that my sobriety, which is not based on Christian, the 12 steps, Christian values, yes, but that based on what he says, I'm at grave risk of being infected by demons. And I just don't see it that way. The way I see it, what Father Rippenger is doing, what the church is doing in regards to, especially tarot, big down on tarot, big down on the I Ching, big down on divination. They think this really puts you at grave risk. And I want to say, to some extent, I agree with that. It can psychologically unstabilize you. If you are not relatively stable by the time you take these things on, they could psychologically make you unstable. And what Father Rippenger and other members of the church are doing is they're protecting you. Don't go there. Don't put yourself at risk. If you are unstable now, we have a stable system here in the Catholic Church. Just stay within this stable system and you will be all right. And he is right. He's correct. If you just stay in that system, you will be all right and you won't be putting yourself at risk to possible psychological instability, which can be introduced by these things that I talk about, symbolic systems and tarot and I Ching and Taoism. And I don't know what he has to think about other people in the world that who don't have access to the Catholic way of being, the Catholic way of doing. So, there's a lot of Muslims in the world. Are they all going to burn? There's a lot of Buddhists in the world who are tremendously good people. Are they going? That raises all those questions to me. And I found it very disturbing. Like I said, in my life, it just hasn't been so. Even though I have not had his experiences, I have not had his education, which far exceed my own. I have not had those. My experience has been different. That involving yourself in symbolic systems, have gone slowly and done correctly, hasn't caused me any particular problems. It could cause problems. I could say that, but I use it primarily for looking where I'm at in a system. Or, things are happening. Where am I at in the flow of the way things are happening? I'm not looking at it too much in terms of predicting the future and things of that nature. I look at it more, as a guide, as where am I at in respect to what is unfolding in front of me. The last couple of weeks I talked about a reality unfolding sequentially. And in this sequential unfolding, where am I at? That's primarily what I use these things for, these symbolic systems. Where am I at in the system? So, Father Rippenger is definitely against the tarot. So we're going to throw some tarot cards against that. Not against that. To ask a question. What is the question? How does the tarot view itself in respect to helping somebody grow and change? That's a good one. How does the tarot view itself in its ability to help somebody grow and change? My ability to read tarot is a gift, an expression of divine love, and I'm here to share it with you in that same spirit. We're given all these tools, these symbolic tools to use and to reflect. And I understand Father Rippenger's concern, wanting to keep his people stable. But at a certain point, I even outgrew Buddhism. I kind of outgrew organized religion, and I found a higher power, and I have found a path. That's probably the goal of every human being, to find their own path. And if that path is to stay within the Catholic Church for you, that's just fine with me. There's nothing wrong with that. The Catholic Church has helped thousands, hundreds, and millions of people throughout history. It just wasn't effective for me and my family lineage. But how can the tarot help us grow spiritually and intellectually? I feel like these things have helped me. The tarot, especially within the last year, has helped me grow in terms of understanding what has happened to me in terms of the system and what happened in my family lineage and what happened in me and why was I able to overcome this alcoholism and nobody else in my line was able to do it. And I just discussed why that was, how I was fortunate enough to encounter these things. Well, how can the tarot help us grow spiritually? That's a good one. How can the tarot help us grow spiritually? How can the tarot help us grow spiritually? These things that help me grow. These symbolic systems have helped me a great deal in self-reflection. And where did I come from? How did this happen? I have found them to be very useful. So how can the tarot help us grow spiritually? I'm just dropping the cards all over, ain't I? How can the tarot help us grow spiritually? Cut the deck. And if Father Rippenger would like to come on John's Tarot, I would love to have him on because I respect him and I don't think he's bad. I'm outside that. How can I say? I'm outside his general Fear. How can tarot help us grow spiritually? I just throw 3 cards. The Fool. What an appropriate card. If you take up the tarot, you take up spiritual tools, symbolic tools, you go on the Fool's journey. Now, I've talked about the Fool's journey before. You see the Fool with the bag on his shoulder and a white dog at his heels. It's a journey. It's a journey into the unknown. And many times that we take on these spiritual journeys, especially if you're a seeker by nature, unaware of what lies ahead. And the dog at the heels of the Fool is telling him, that's the universe. Be careful. Be careful. Go one step at a time. Be careful if you go on spiritual journeys, as I have in my life. Be careful. Go one step at a time. Try not to go too fast in taking these things on, because it could make you unstable. It could unstabilize you. And if you find that is what's happening, you need to back off. You need to not step off that cliff. And go the way of Father Rippenger if you're a Catholic, and return to that orientation. But it is a journey. It is the Fool's journey. And at the end of Fool's journey is kind of I've talked about it before, there is an element of enlightenment, of spiritual growth. That is why we go on these Fool's journeys throughout our lives, is to grow and to change. And so if you take on the tarot, you're going on the Fool's journey. The question was, how does the tarot help us grow? It will take you on that journey. It will take you on that Fool's journey, and you will have an element of enlightenment, of deeper understanding of yourself. And then you start the journey over. It's just repetitive. It goes on and on. And then the next time you take on that Fool's journey, the next cycle, you're a little bit more smarter. You're a little bit more enlightened. You're a little bit more changed, but you're going to go deeper. And then it takes you on to the next. The second card is the Magician. How does the tarot help us change, grow spiritually? It's going to give you everything you need in terms of tools. I also found that the universe responds very positively to this, and it has given me different tools that I need to take this journey in order to change and develop. And I've been given everything I've needed to go as far as I could possibly go, given my circumstances and my position in life and my ability to understand and my consciousness. Really, I've gone farther. I've gotten more than I deserved. And coming to the end of a nursing career, coming to a point of eldership within the program I'm involved with, I've been given all the tools that I've needed, and the tarot will do that. It'll give you all the, especially if you study it and take it seriously. Just reading the cards is just the beginning. There is a whole history, and the cards have different meanings and different traditions, and it's a lifelong study, and you'll be given different tools that you need in order to grow, change, and develop. So, what can the cards do to help you develop spiritually? They'll give you tools. And then the third card is the 8 of Cups. Now, in the 8 of Cups, you see a guy, you see cups, and he's walking away. This is somebody who's walking away from a materialism into a more spiritual life. And so he's leaving some things behind materially in order to gain some growth spiritually. If you take on the tarot, some of your desires, some of your goals, some of the things that you think are important right now will lose their importance. And you will, I'm looking for something deeper. I'm looking for something more substantial. I'm looking for, why am I here? What is the reason? Why have my big question was, why was I given the opportunity to become sober and my past generations were not? And I had to leave certain ideas, concepts, materialistic concepts behind in order to find a deeper spiritual goal, a deeper spiritual life. And I'm not tremendously spiritual. What can I say? I've done what I could as a human being. I'm probably not as spiritual as Father Rippenger, but that's how these tools have helped me personally. So I'm going to go ahead and wrap this up for this week.
Goodbye, Professor Marvel, and thanks a lot.
Well, it was my pleasure. I hope you've enjoyed my spirituality week. And I'm If you have any concepts or thoughts on this, send me a note over to John at johnstarot.net, or visit the website over there, johnstarot.net, and see if I have that my promise live readings up yet. And I'll be working on that. I think tomorrow will be one of the things I'll work on. So until next time, be careful, be cool, be kind, and remember, have strength, find faith, and I will talk to you all again the next time I see you. Okay, bye-bye.